All right, let's do this. We're doing the delicate arch that is in the Landscape Watercolor book. Has 25 or 21 outlines that are so fun, all pre-drawn for you. And then I have 4 practice pages that go over greenery, florals, trees, and skies. So fun. I'm going to be using my size 12 round tip brush. We have my palette that's 24 colors, super good, creamy. You're going to love them. And yeah, I'll link everything that I'm using below. I have a paper towel and 1 cup of water. So let's get going. So with watercolor, we work from lights to darks. So we're going to look at this picture, and do you see how the yellow is the lighter color, and then we can add some oranges. So the first thing we're going to do is mix our yellow, which this palette is perfect for this outline because it already has so many pretty yellows and browns and reds and oranges, all the things. Not a lot of mixing. Really, you're just adding water right now. So we're just going on right now with the arch only. We'll come in with the background and the foreground, everything. But right now we're going to focus on just the arch. As you can see, I have a line showing where the shadow of the arch is on the front and the back. So we're gonna also be painting that area just to help with the contrast. But we're gonna keep it the light yellow to begin with, and then we'll move in with some more colors. Now we're coming in with that second color that we mixed, a slightly lighter orange brown, and starting with our shadows. So as you can see, I'm just kind of dabbing around where I see the shaded parts. And this doesn't need to be perfect. You can kind of play around with it because this is still a lighter color. So we're going to come in with an even darker color. So this is more just where do you see a slightly darker color than that base yellow. While we let that kind of set in, we're gonna grab a yellow, dilute it down with your water, and I'm even grabbing some of that peach color that's on our palette, mixing it all together, and then we're gonna be using that for the foreground, so right there in front of the arch, and then also coming in where you see the sun in between, like under the arch. Okay, this is where things start to get pretty fun because we're gonna be mixing colors. You're gonna start seeing this arch take shape. So we're grabbing some pink, maybe mix in a little bit of red, and then grab a touch of your brown that's already on your mixing palette. So we're making like a pink salmon color. And I know you don't really see a whole lot of that in the actual picture, but sometimes it's just fun to add a pop of color where you can. So I'm coming in at that top part of the arch, kind of where you see the reds. And I'm not filling the whole thing. I'm kind of being messy with where I'm putting it. Coming down in that shaded area on the right side. Okay, now we're gonna do the dark parts, which can be a little daunting, but we got this. My mother-in-law once told me the other day that creativity takes courage, and I love that. So, let's be bold, let's do it. So, first thing, you can see in the picture, well, most of the picture, where the dark parts are. So we're just going to be mixing like a brown red, a brick red, if you will. Um, and you can do that by adding red with the brown. That's the third and fourth down on the right side of your palette. And it creates a really pretty color. So where I'm starting is under that arch. You can see it in the picture too. You're kind of following that down, and then that top part, that line across, we're going to work there. And then you're going to see a dark part on the bottom, kind of in between where the crack is on the bottom of the arch. But you can even see this is dark, but it's not like black. You can still see color. It does have a good amount of water in it, and it is being added into somewhat wet paper, so it's going to blend, and that is what makes it so beautiful. And if you don't love how dark it is and you're wanting to just kind of like ease your way into it, add a little bit of water. But look how pretty this is. Now we're going to add a little bit more of the orange shade of brown. You're not even going to mix it with anything. It has a really pretty color already. And you're going to bring that color down. And you're still, like, kinda being messy, but you are starting to fill in a little bit more, and the arch starts to really take shape. But you can see in my hand, I'm not, like, doing a smooth brush. I'm dabbing, being very gentle as I go. Alright, here we go. Now we're gonna work on the shadow and bring some of this color into the arch, but we're doing like a lavender, more like a deeper blue purple. I should know my colors. I'm an artist for heaven's sake. But you'll see. Oof, so pretty. Kind of like a gray toned coming all the way into it, and then we're gonna bring it into the arch. And this is where I feel like things really start to look beautiful. The blending, everything just dropping in a little bit of those blue tones, purple tones. Look how cute. Because you can still see the red, you can still see the yellows, but you're adding a little bit of that dimension. Oh, I love this. I hope you're happy with yours. And if you're not, we can try again. We learn as we go. But you see how I'm not putting it over the entire thing? I'm kind of coming in where I'm seeing the shadows. All right, stay with me. We're gonna add some yellow just for that pop of color on the arch and a few of the areas around it. And I'm adding a lot of water. Next time, I will try my best to keep the cup in vision because I know that's helpful for you to see the amount of water I'm taking up. But the yellow is pretty diluted, and I'm coming in where those like kind of shaded, or not shaded, but like the brighter areas that have our base color, and I'm being very loose and just putting it on there. What's really nice about this palette is you can pull from the colors you've already made. So try and keep your mixing trays separate so that you can pull when you need them. So right now I'm grabbing that brick red that we made and going into the cracks a little bit. And then we're gonna make an orange and just go pretty lightly up on that top part of the arch, a little bit in the shadows. We're just adding a little bit more color. And then we're gonna come in under that back leg of the arch, if you will, and add some color in the foreground. Very, very diluted, but you're going to be kind of bringing it down to that line that I have as a guide for you. And I think a little bit later we might even add some pink to that area too, but we're gonna actually switch to the sky here soon. This palette has the most beautiful blues for sky. So I'm going to be using the second blue on the bottom right and the third from the bottom. First, I'm grabbing that blue and I'm diluting it down a little bit with the water. I like to make sure I have a good amount there so that I don't have to make a new color as I'm going. But we're filling that in with the darker blue first, even though it is really diluted. And as we move down, I'm adding that little bit of a pop of vibrant blue. All right, moving on to the middle ground. We're gonna mix up purple, but like a deep, deep purple. So I'm adding some blue, some of that brick red that we have, mixing it all together to make a really pretty dark purple. And this is gonna go in the canyon area. And it's the background, so we don't need to be extremely detailed, but I do want it to be quite a bit darker than the rest of the painting for now. So you want to make sure that your paper is dry in the areas where it's touching, or you can leave a really small white space in between those colors. And I think that's what I'm going to do. But we're filling that space in. Super simple, just nothing too crazy. You're just filling it in. Alright, now we're gonna grab that top green on the left side and put it into that purple that we already have. So where this is gonna go is towards the bottom. We're just gonna drop it in really loose, but that kind of like where those dark areas are of that canyon. And then we're also gonna bring it along that top little section that you see that goes along with it. Just randomly, you're not gonna fill the whole thing. We're gonna come in after with like a skin tone cream and have that come together, like you see in the background how that, like, orange is showing through a little bit, but it's still very shaded. Alright, so now I've mixed a really diluted down with water, like lavender purple, and I'm bringing it down all the way to the bottom, but it's very light, very quick. You're not doing much texture yet. This is just our base layer, and we're gonna do it on the right side and then coming into the middle. And then once that's done, we're adding in a very diluted down of that brick orange color. So once you've added that in, we can move over to the left side and do the same technique over there with the diluted lavender. And then we're leaving that top little area where I have that line because that's the back mountain range. But we're kind of going along the bottom of that cliff area. So I'm adding that blue that we used for the sky, that second to the bottom, and mixed it in with that orange that we had. And that makes the most beautiful distant mountain range. So you're just kind of filling it in. And then we're gonna come back in and do some more detail in the mountain range that we just painted that's a little bit forward. So let's mix this green that we're gonna use in that mountain range. It's gonna be perfect for like a little bit of the greenery, little dots. It's gonna look so awesome. But let's make that color and then hopefully that background will be dry enough for us to work on it. I'm just adding purple and a little bit of green and red. All right, so my background is still pretty wet, so we're gonna work on the front that same color that we have already mixed, that, like, brick red, and I'm going in and working on any of, like, the cracks, adding more contrast where it needs. And then the diluted orange, like rust orange that we have, I'm gonna come in, work on some of the areas that I don't want as yellow, and then put in some detail towards the front of the outline, just adding some detail. But still, this is rock. It's very loose. You don't need to like put any super detailed things. I'm just kind of filling in shapes. So did you see how the front I had a little bit darker than I wanted, so I grabbed water and just dragged it across? If that happens to you, you can pull your color away so that you get the shade that you're wanting. All right, now that that's done, we have the green. We're just coming up on the mountain range, and you see how the cliff has kind of the horizontal lines? That's what we're doing right now. It doesn't need to be perfect. You're kind of just leaving a little bit of that back color showing through. But then as you move to the left, you're filling it in a little bit more. Once that is done, we're gonna do some dabs that shows where kind of the bushes or trees are in that background. Super loose. Doesn't have to be perfect. If it even like if bleeds a little bit, if your water or if your paper is still wet, wow, that's okay. You're just kind of filling in where you see some of those dots, and that makes even just that is bringing everything together. Friends, we are done. Look how pretty this turned out. I hope you're proud of yourself. If you are, I want to see it. I want to hear about it. Come leave me a DM or put it in the comments, anything. I'm proud of you. Thanks for trying something new with me, and I'll see you soon.